You say sponsorship of theirs? Didn't mind some of that though.
Very nice. Red pen and yellow pen for...
Do you know what their sponsorship agreement is? I mean, it's to own the team as well.
Hello and welcome back to Canberra Region Rugby League for season 2019. Our first game today in the Bloomers Lawyers Canberra Raiders Cup is between the reigning premiers, the Woden Valley Rams, and the Yass Magpies, who in some ways bear a striking resemblance to the Tuggeranong side that Woden beat in the grand final last year. My name is Chris Coleman, and alongside me this afternoon for this season opener is Sonny Singh. Sonny, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Chris, and welcome back to everybody watching at home for another year of local footy.
Exciting times.
Yeah, the wait's finally over, Chris. So I think I speak for everyone when I say it's so good to have the footy back for yet another season. It's a pleasure to be back doing the commentary with you once again, and what better way to kick things off in 2019 than seeing the reigning premiers in action straight off the bat. Absolutely, and this Woden Valley side, I know they're very keen to get their premiership defence underway. They've got a couple of late changes to their lineup that we'll go through in just a moment, and Yass, as I mentioned in an oblique manner just a minute ago, they've recruited, well, I was going to say from far and wide, but it's not so much from far and wide. There's plenty of players from Tuggeranong. There's a couple of other players who've come across to play for Yass for the 2019 season, and we'll have a look at some of those in just a tick. Yeah, so just before we launch into a quick preview for the match, I just want to quickly touch on the strength of the competition this year. One of the biggest appeals of the league has always been the mix of up-and-comers, club men and former first-grade talent in the competition, and I feel this season it's gone to another level. Let me just read through some of the star power that's going to grace the Canberra Raiders Cup this season. We've got Terry Campese, Glenn Buttress, Lincoln Withers, Reece Robinson, Mitch Cornish, James Orbison, Drury Lowe, Tyler Cornish, Sam Mataora, Jared Kennedy and Brent Crisp. Now, if that list alone doesn't get you excited for this season, nothing will, Chris. it's a testament to all the clubs and league coordinators that they're able to attract such talent, and it only strengthens rugby league in Canberra and the surrounding regions.
Absolutely. There's been plenty of people who've made their journey down here from Yass down the Barton Highway as the Yass Magpies make their way out onto the field, and they're being joined now by the defending premiers, the Woden Valley Rams. We should probably get into the lineups for this afternoon. Who's out there for the Rams this afternoon, Sonny?
Yeah, let's start off with the Woden Valley Rams. So Dane Spencer is a late inclusion at fullback. He was listed to start on the wing, but he will replace Harry Vartel, who wasn't able to back up after yesterday's game. We've got Liam Simonson on the wing, Michael Geiger in the centres, Caleb Malasauskas, Thomas Evans on the other wing, James DeSax plays at 5'8" with Lincoln Withers at half, Jeffrey Morgan, Costa Pasantis, Tyson Hodge, Bradley Martin, Dan Pryor, Sean Maloney line up in the starting lineup, Stephen Ferry, Luke Johnson, Solomon Kafusi and Adam Lucas round off the Rams for today.
For the Yass Magpies, it's Sparnan at fullback, Houston and Smith on the wings, Willie Peace the captain for this season, and Fa'ete in the centres. 5'8" is Jesse McDonald. Halfback is Carl Johnson. Saipani Ialupo is one of the props. Vanisi is the other one. Charlie Shepherd the hooker. Sean Davis and Atu Tupo the second rowers. Mitch Turner is the lock forward, and on the bench it's Isaiah Numata, Ben Davis, Mitch Edwards and Fabian Antonio. And yes, a lot of those names from Tuggeranong last year. We'll talk more about that later on, but the game is underway. It's Woden Valley in their new look strip, a darker blue than we've seen from previous seasons on this Woden Valley side, with the yellow strips, hoops very similar to the Parramatta jersey with the big white numbers on the back, and Yass in their traditional black and white, although they've added a touch of grey this year, and it's their centenary season, the Yass Magpies as well. So we're in the middle of the first tackle count here for the Woden Valley Rams, and that's Jeff Morgan taking the ball to their 40-metre line. They go across to the right, and instantly we see Adam Lucas, who we thought was starting on the bench, is in there, so he's in there at the start off. A little bit of uneasy footwork down there from Yass, from Spartan, and the ball picked up off the ground, and he manages to get it across to the 20. In the dummy half is the winger. That's Houston with the tape around his head. Not too many players getting back for him, so he has to make a little run himself from dummy half, and then he takes about 5 metres. Now it's Shepherd comes into a dummy half. Willie Peace added responsibility for Peace this year as the captain of the first grade side for the Yass Magpies, and we've got the first penalty for the afternoon.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad start from the Rams, though. They had a good opening set of 6. They made reasonably easy ground, and it's just unfortunate to give away a penalty there. But I am really looking forward to seeing this Yass side in action this year. I think they've recruited very, very well. As you mentioned before, they've managed to poach half a Tuggeranong side from last season. So it's almost a grand final rematch in a lot of ways for a lot of these boys.
Well, very quickly from the Tuggeranong side, and this is just from a quick set of notes before the game, they've got Fa'ete, Vanisi and Tupo in the starting lineup, and there's also Antonio on the bench. I think that's the lot. And also a former Woden player, spent last year with Hart, and Carl Johnson. He's the number 7, the halfback for Yass in the grey headgear, who's out there as well. So plenty of players coming from other parts as we see big Saipani Ialupo. He's a big name in Yass and a big man as well. Taking the ball to about 12 metres out into the dummy half roll. It's Shepherd, goes to his left, finds it onto Vanisi. He's always hard to stop just because of the size of him. It's going to get hard. It's hard to get used to him in a different coloured jersey after seeing him for Tuggeranong last year. Slow play the ball. Plenty of options. It goes to Johnson. Johnson pops it around on the outside, gets it onto the fullback in Sparnan, and Sparnan, it's either going to be into the corner or over the touchline, and he's over the touchline. Good defence there from Woden, and maybe just a little bit slow on the passing there from Yass.
It was, but again, it was just good coverage defence from the Rams there. They didn't panic. It was a nice ball from Johnson to get the fullback on the outside, but good cover defence in the end, and ultimately amounts to nothing.
Now, we're seeing out there also for Woden, we're seeing Caleb Malasauskas, former rugby union player, and I'm told, I was overseas when the West Belconnen Nines were played earlier in the year, but I'm told he was the man who basically won the final for them with a couple of good tries. That's him with the blonde hair on the white boots. So they just cut him out on that play off the back of the scrum. So that's one tackle off the scrum for the Woden Valley side. Lincoln Withers, captain coach for the Woden Valley Rams in 2019 after his late heroics in the grand final, where he kicked what he maintained was always going straight over the black dot, which I maintain was an extraordinarily wobbly field goal. You've watched the replay of that a few times. I've watched the replay of that a few times. What's your verdict on that one, Sonny?
I can tell you now, he kicked it like a car door, I think.
Yeah, okay. So it's anyway, it was the deciding factor in that truly remarkable grand final last year, and this year with us, not just the captain, but the coach of the Woden Valley Rams as well. Now, that to me looked like Geiger taking the ball up and they're inside the 40. So the first real attacking opportunity now for the Rams. The ball comes across to the left. That's Withers. Easy to pick him. Now Martin. Martin goes to the 30. Again, they're not going terribly quickly. Withers ignores a couple, gives it to Maloney. And Maloney gets inside the 30, almost to the 20. In fact, he'll play the ball just outside the 20. And again, they go to the left. De Sachs, the new 5'8" for Woden Valley. Spencer, he's up. He's bumped high. Spins around, absorbs a lot of the impact and keeps on going. Into dummy half goes Johnson. They come across through to the right via De Sachs. I think that might be Morgan who's taken the tackle. Very quickly diving in. It was indeed him. Now it's with De Sachs again. Puts the kick through. Would have liked a little bit more angle on it. Oh, some poor ball security there. And very, very close to losing the ball and potentially giving up a try in unusual circumstances. But good recovery from Charlie Shepherd from the Yass Magpies. By the way, the referee this afternoon is Fatu Aono Fatu, the big fella out there in the green shirt, and the touch judges today, Elijah Finance and Stephen Brain. Coach for the Yass Magpies is Cam Hardy, and a line dropout coming for the Yass Magpies.
Willie Peace showed his intent there. He ran out of the line a couple times to put a couple big shots on.
He's renowned for being ferocious in defence, is Willie Peace. And it's the Rams on the charge again. Now, is that Simonson? Is that an early change? That's not Simonson out there.
Yeah, little knock on here.
Knock on, no, he's lost the ball in there, so it'll be the Yass Magpies to come up with the ball off the scrum at their own end. And both these sides definitely just still finding their way. We've gone 5 minutes. No score as yet in the Bloomers Lawyers Canberra Raiders Cup season opener here at Phillip Oval. Beautiful afternoon, lots of sunshine. I'd say 23, maybe 24 degrees this afternoon. Not a lot of breeze to contend with. Largely because it's blowing in from behind the grandstand here, so a lot of the ground will be sheltered this afternoon.
And a great crowd, might I add.
Yeah, there's plenty of people, plenty of support for Yass as well. I was surprised. I got here about 2.5 hours ago, and there was the car park was already full. I managed to wedge in between a couple of other people. As long as I get out first, they'll be able to open their doors when I go home this afternoon. That was Willie Peace on the run. Now it's with Sean Davis, and he takes the ball out to the 30-metre line for the Magpies. Big Saipani Ayalupo, the easiest man to recognise out there. There is no one remotely near him in size or stature, and he's always been very hard to stop. Now, they kick early, potentially looking for a 40-20, but there's not enough angle on the kick. And it goes down to fullback for the Woden Valley Rams, and that's Dane Spencer who's got it. Spencer, he's quick, and he can afford to run sideways, and he has done so. He's gone 70 metres. Unfortunately for him, only 10 of them forward, and he's tackled just inside the 20 on the far side of the field here. And then back to try and give him a bit of help while his teammates finally getting back there. And we'll see them come across now. This is this young fella who we heard a bit about, Caleb Malasauskas, and that's why there's the excitement there. He's very slippery, got out of the first tackle and makes it up to the halfway line. So once again, Woden on the attack early. Lincoln Withers is called for. He's got someone on his outside that he's given the word to. He's thrown one dummy, pushes off the second, tries to go over the 30. Had on his outside Pryor, didn't see him. Takes the tackle instead, goes to ground. That's the 30-metre line you can see there. Now pops it across to De Sachs. De Sachs kicks early in the count again. Pryor chasing the kick. Backed up by Tom Evans. The ball picked up off the ground by Sparnan for the Yass Magpies, and they'll bring it out via Brandon Houston on the second tackle.
Well, ominous signs for Yass there. You know, Lincoln chooses his moments very wisely, and as we see a tackle that is deemed to have not been high.
Wasn't much in it. It's Jai Smith, the man who was eventually tackled with the ball.
Sorry, Chris, was just saying that it's good to see Lincoln still deciding to run the ball. You know, he's, what is he, 36, 37? Potentially like older.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, he's still got some speed in those legs.
Speaking of speed in the legs, if Dane Spencer, he's got space here. Now, that's the 30 he's on. He's got time. Dummies, doesn't do much with it. Gets around the first tackle, gets around the second before he's brought down by Charlie Shepherd. But Spencer at his own 40-metre line, and that's the first. Now it's Malasauskas. So you've got Malasauskas and Pazantzis playing for Woden this afternoon. When the two of them get together, it'll be tongue twister time. That's the second tackle, taken by Brad Martin. Bit of dust coming up in the middle of this ground. I've seen days on this ground where there's been rain and there's still dust come up in the middle of it. It's a very, very, very dry surface here at Phillip District Oval. Across to the left they go with Hodge now. Hodge shapes to pass, runs, finds up a gap, puts a little bit more space there. Ball comes out the back, it's onto the chest of Pryor. Pryor, he's been tackled and the ball's been stripped from him by Carl Johnson, I think it was.
Yeah, I think the referee's got this decision right as well.
Yeah, Johnson had gone around, so Pryor had spun around. He was going backwards towards the try line, if you like. Johnson's come in, pulled the ball out, and of course pulled it towards him, which is in the direction that Yass are going. So technically speaking, a knock on. Referee's got it right. Yass fans might not be too thrilled, but Woden, well, they might get a little bit excited here because they're going to have a scrum feed, and it'll be from about 10 metres out, and there's somebody down there in back play. Sonny will keep an eye on that for us, although play has been stopped, as has the clock. So with 9 minutes gone, we've got no score between Woden and Yass. As we get the season underway, I'll have the game of the week for you with commentary every week as per previous seasons on the Bar TV platform. Just let you know what is happening in the Bloomers Lawyers first grade competition this afternoon. Goulburn Workers are hosting the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. For the Goulburn Workers, there are 3 Cornishes playing for them. Not sure if they've all made it out onto the field this afternoon, but they're hosting Queanbeyan. The Roos, the Woden Valley Rams here against the Yass Magpies. Down at Tuggeranong, it's at Greenway. Tuggeranong hosting the West Belconnen Warriors. And Jared Kennedy, one of those NRL players you mentioned earlier, Sonny, making his debut for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers this afternoon, and it doesn't look good for Woden. We'll give you more on that in just a second. And the Queanbeyan Blues, they host the Belconnen United Sharks. That game happening at Seaport Oval this afternoon as well. And for the Gungahlin Bulls, they have to wait another week before play gets underway for them, so they'll have the late start to season 2019.
I think that might be Tyson Hodge that's coming from the field.
Certainly one of their bigger boys. Too big to be Jeff Morgan. Morgan's still out there, so I think you're spot on. That is Hodge, and he really does not look a well boy at all. So Woden will be down 1 in their rotations. I would be very surprised if Hodge is allowed back on the field after that.
And that's a big loss for them, Chris. Tyson is a ball-playing prop that I've said it a number of times. I think he's a halfback in a prop's body, but they'll certainly miss him up front, and with even just his ball playing at the line.
Withers has to juggle it, so loses a little bit of momentum, but he's got a couple of options, and one of them coming through at speed. I didn't pick who it was going through quite fast. May have been Geiger. Ball is still in his arms, and he's only a metre out, so that's the first tackle. That was Pazantzis, actually. There you go. Now they'll go across to the right. Withers again, pops it out. It's to Martin. Martin goes for the line, goes over the line, and I think he's got it down. And I'm going to give that one to Brad Martin. Certainly looked like him as he went over, and it's a pretty easy try in the end for Woden. And I think we saw this a bit last year, especially as the season progressed, Sonny. The Woden Valley side, if you give them the ball at close range, you're really inviting danger, and that's a lesson that Yass need to learn.
That's right, Chris. And I mean, it was nothing, hugely out of the ordinary there. It was just, through the hands, and just too big, too strong from Bradley Martin, who just runs a good line. So
I'll call that 10 minutes. First try of the game. Brad Martin, relatively easy with a second play off the second tackle after a penalty. 4-0, and Lincoln Withers probably wouldn't have minded an easier conversion attempt for his first one for the season. I said second tackle after a penalty. It was actually the second tackle after a scrum. Let's be more accurate than that. So Withers, if you've watched the NRL over the years and seen him play at that level, or if you're watching any of the Woden Valley games on Bar TV last season, he's got a routine, and it has not varied one iota. He puts the ball down, he gets down on the hands and knees, gets right behind it, has a good look, comes around, slight curve on it, right foot, and makes it quite comfortably. And with that conversion, it's 6-0 to the Woden Valley Rams. A good start for them for this season.
Absolutely, and as I mentioned, it was just simple football, bit of sustained pressure on the Yass line, and for the most part, they've been coming down this left side, but their first foray onto that right edge, maybe a couple communication issues, lot to improve on for Yass early on.
And they've got to give the ball back to Woden now, they've gone for the deep kick-off, and, well, Yass have not really... Well, Yass have put plenty on that, and Woden really haven't handled that terribly well at all.
No, that's a rookie error. We see it time and time, and again, not just in first grade here, but in the NRL, why players don't start on the dead ball line. You never know.
No, not much else you can add at this point. So now the line drop out, and the ball goes straight to Carl Johnson. And Johnson, well, when you've got a weapon at your disposal like Saipani Ialupo, you use him, and you use him early in the tackle count every time you possibly can. They're inside the 40, and now taking it through is Mitch Turner. They're down to the 20 already. Can they strike back quickly? Johnson takes a couple of stuttering steps, gives it to McDonald. McDonald then to Tupou. Tupou, great little ball on the outside to Fa'ete. He pops one out the back, probably unnecessarily, or did he lose it forward and then tap it across to the side? He's lost it forward first and then tried to regain control of the ball. And it's, well, either way, it was going to be a scrum to Woden because it was a knock-on and then into touch. So either way, Woden get the ball back.
Yeah, it's the wrong option from David Fa'ete.
Just hang on to it.
That's it. You know, Tupou had done well to put him into a bit of space, but from there you take the tackle, your first foray into the opposition 20. You need to build a little bit of pressure before you start going for the glamour plays. Let off the hook, the Rams.
Need to hang on to the ball too. So Woden, once again, will be bringing it out from their own end with a chance for us to really have a look at what Yass have got in defence. Sean Davis was up very, very quickly in defence there. And there's the other side of the Saipani Ialupo game. You see plenty of him on the way up, but you don't really want to run straight at him because it'll be very, very hard for you to get through him. And that, on the subject of big men, is Solomone Kafusi. And Solomone Kafusi has picked up a penalty. I've never been a big fan of going high on the big fella. I've never been a big fan of that.
Was that his first run?
I think so. That one's to me, to you, to our camera operator, actually. Yeah, we'll just put it on the gearbox and take that one home. Thank you very much for the souvenir, fellas. Ball goes back out. We don't really keep the balls when they come to the commentary box. And it's Evans with the tap restart, and he just runs it himself. So he's up over the 40 and 35 metres out. And he's lost the ball in there. A little bit of a knock on. It was only the tiniest one, but the referees picked it. So Yass can breathe a sigh of relief. They'll get the ball back off a scrum and see if they can get down the far side of the field.
Again, it's that man involved in the tackle once again, Willie Peace. He's been busy early on in this game, but mainly through his defence. He's certainly muscling up on this right edge.
I don't have my notes from round one last year on me, but it was, I'm pretty sure it was round one last year we had. No, I'm not going to credit him with the kind of mistake that I was going to look to do that. And we'll just get back to what's going on out there. I think he got sent off early in the season last year. I just don't know whether it was round one or slightly later. Atu Tupou with the white bandage and now with the headgear and the long hair out the back of it. Fa'ete. This time he does have someone he can pop the ball to out the back, and they've gone one past too many, looking for Mitch Turner. And he's lost the ball forward. Now, this is where I just wonder whether the combinations are still coming together for Yass. Here's where these Yass players were last year. And if you think if you think this is a bit of turnover, I'm on your side. Spartan, the fullback, was in reserve grade for most of last year. Houston was with the Sharks. Peace was a Yass player. Fa'ete was with Tuggeranong. Smith was a Yass player. McDonald was a Yass player. Johnson was with Harden in the George Tookshield as Woden, they've got it on the outside and given it to Malasauskas. Malasauskas is toying with the touch line. They're going to get him over. Well, he's actually lost the ball over, so Yass will get the ball back again here. Then into the forwards. Ialupo from Yass. Charlie Shepherd, largely reserve grade. Vanisi from Tuggeranong. Sean Davis was with Yass. Tupou was with Tuggeranong. Turner was with Goulburn. Niamata, not sure where he was last year, actually. Davis was with Yass, Edwards was with Yass, and Antonio was with Tuggeranong. So out of the 17 that started for Yass today, by my count, that's 7 who were with another club and another 2 who were largely reserve graders. So that's more than half the side out there today, not regular first graders last season. So you may see a few combinations today that don't necessarily come together as well as they will later in the season. As once again, it's David Fa'ete who's got the ball, and once he gets going, if they don't stop him on the initial contact, he will make metres after contact. Takes the ball nearly to halfway. Now that's Peace. Willie Peace spins out of the first one, runs into James de Sachs, still going his piece and still going. Look at him bullocking. It's just really trying to shake off the opponents. Doesn't tickle when you cop one of those under the chin either, just quietly. Now it's Ialupo, and again, look at him go up to the 30. So they're starting to make metres now.
I don't think go forward's going to be a problem for them this season.
Not really, not with Ialupo and Venisi. Willie Peace always makes metres. Fayette is another one. That's how it all comes together. Johnson with the kick across to the corner. Malasauskas is charging back. Has he got to cover it? No, he doesn't, because it rolls just too deep. There was Houston on the way after it, but it was always a little bit too fast for him. And on the subject of too fast, Yass not back on side, so Woden having to take their 20-metre restart a second time, and they do so and get it out to the 30.
That used to be a penalty back in the day, didn't it? Speaking of.
Yeah, there we go. Well, you've got to get off the tackled player, and now they take the they want to take the quick tap via Liam Simonson. Yes, of that Simonson family. If you're watching the Raiders in round one, this is Bailey's brother. Bailey scored a try on debut for the Raiders in round one.
What a try it was as well.
It was a good try.
Beautiful kick from Aidan Caesar.
And what was his reward? Dropped to reserve grade the next week. At the moment, he joins a very select list. He's played one game for the Raiders and has one try. There's only been three. He's only the third who have as many tries as games played for the Raiders.
She's a cruel mistress, rugby league, sometimes.
If you can name the other two, you're doing very, very well. They go across to the left now to the Woden Valley Rams. And I'm tempted to just leave that hanging there so that people don't know who the other two were. Lucas at dummy half for the Rams. Across to the right. Maloney almost dived into the tackle, didn't he? They got plenty off to the left here, which allows Morgan to hang on to it. He pops on it to the outside to Dan Pryor, who's in for a try. They had just too many numbers, way too many numbers. That's basic stuff from Woden, and a basic error from Yass. You've just got to pick a man and man up, and they didn't.
Yeah, a couple of them rushed out of the line, and it's a beautiful ball from. You say it was Bradley Martin, or was Jeff Morgan that threw the offload?
Morgan threw the offload.
Yeah. Timed it to perfection, and Pryor running a good line, timed it well.
Ate it for breakfast, didn't he?
Walked over untouched.
19 minutes gone, 10-0 kick to come. So Woden, we're seeing, well, really a continuation, I think, of last season here. It's just soften things up with the back, with the forwards, and then use the backs when you need to. It's worked well in rugby league, surprisingly well for almost 100 years, and while occasionally there's other stuff that becomes fashionable, it's working well for them here. And I know that both the tries have been scored by forwards, but there's been the softening up, then the backs do the moving of the ball, and on both occasions the tries have come from fairly short range.
Well, last season they scored all their points in patches, so there were 20, 30-minute patches during games where they would just go berserk almost and just put their points on. And, they were guilty, yes, at times last year of clocking off sometimes, but, they got out to some very, very big leads very quickly last season. Ominous signs for Yass early on.
Stays off to the right and is unsuccessful. So after a great try assist from Jeff Morgan, Daniel Pryor has the try in the books, but not converted. And it is now 10-0. Midpoint of the first half here in the Bloomers Lawyers Canberra Raiders Cup for 2019 round one affair. I'm just trying to sneak a peek down there and see whether Tyson Hodge is okay. I haven't seen him come back out, so I do hope he is okay. Done a better job of handling the restart this time. The Woden Valley Rams, and Solomon Kafusi, the man who brings it out to the 10-metre line. Becomes super important here now, Sonny, for the Yass Magpies to score next. Yeah,
you don't want to go too far behind against this Rams side. Well, as we mentioned, that they are very much a momentum side, so if they sniff blood in the water, this could get ugly very quickly.
This new 5'8" for them, James de Sachs, has been impressive, hasn't he?
He has, and I've liked Sean Maloney in at lock as well, as we see a mistake from the Rams.
Intercepted by Mitch Turner, I think it was, down into the bottom of the tackle. It was, and so now they can get away with it from Mitch to Mitch, Turner to Edwards, and Edwards on the 30-metre line. But I didn't see the knock on in there, but the referee signalled it, and a few of the Woden players clapping their hands, a few of the Yass players dropping their heads, and there's a couple of them going to pat Mitch Edwards on the back. But gee, they've shot themselves in the foot a couple of times today already. Yes, they need. I hate to sound like a stuck record, but they've got to start hanging on to the pill.
Well, you know I love my stats, Chris, and
Yep.
we're 20 minutes into a game and we've had 10 errors so far. 5 apiece for each side.
Oh, bulk buy.
Pretty much.
The Woden Shopping Centre, not too far from this ground, and yes, the special for a Sunday afternoon is errors and drop ball. Woden will have the ball here. DeSax coming in to feed it into the scrum. I'm just trying to pick who that was who came through. I think it was one of their forwards didn't go into the scrum there. I think they got a little bit cheeky.
You mentioned before.
No, it was Geiger, Michael Geiger, who is just a big boy in the centres for them. Stay with play for a second here as they go for a run from dummy half, little run from dummy half courtesy of Lucas, and then it's on to Martin. And Martin up to the 30, but we've got a whistle. Ball comes loose. No, this time. Okay, what's the...
We've got a penalty for a strip, I think.
Strip, yeah. Not the most visual of signals. Then Woden take the quick tap prior to the 20. Someone's tried to grab him by the hair. Now, that's a neat trick because there's not much on top there. And now they're on the way. Going with Maloney to the 10. I sense a try coming, and I sense it coming to the right this time. They go that way. It's with Morgan, and Morgan's still going, and he's right in front of the posts. They're calling. They're looking at something here involving Pryor. He's had
There's
the
an
call.
opportunity right here.
They have gone right. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, Yass have almost. I think they've held him up, but
That's great scramble
Just
defence to
short.
hold him up.
just short. It was Brad Martin was the man who had it, now trying to go through. Little chip through from Adam Lucas. I'm not sure if that was the right option. They had plenty of players over to the left. I know they targeted the right because we'd picked it how they were lined up early. But after the second play to the right, they had numbers across to the left, and they had Daniel Pryor, and I suspect they had it over. Oh no, there was one more man for Yass. From our commentary box, I should explain this from our commentary position. There's a brick wall there, and we've got to lean right forward, and waiting right over on this near touchline for Yass is Ben Davis. So they did have another man over this side, but he was right on the wing and obscured to our view. So apologies to Yass for shortchanging you for just a second. But it's Woden on the attack again, and it's big Solomon Kafusi. He's going to do a lot more work today than perhaps he was expecting early. And now they give it to one of the little men in Brad Martin, and Martin takes it up to the 10. So that's 2 tackles, and they're already right into the red zone. Across they go to the left. That'll be a high tackle on DeSax, or offside.
Yeah, there's one for offside.
Offside. Could have gone either way because the tackling player jumped into DeSax there. Either way, it's a penalty, and now Maloney. He was allowed to get to speed, and what is he? I reckon he'd be 2 metres out. They're going to go to the right. Withers turns around and he gives it to Kafusi. Kafusi to the line, but stopped, held up. There's plenty of Yass players in the way there. There's numbers to the left. Comes across with DeSax. DeSax holds play for a second. Pryor spins around through the first tackle. Sean Davis holds on to him and affects the tackle eventually. Lucas at dummy half. I think that may have been Morgan. I think it may have been Morgan who hit the ball at speed. He's gone through low, and he's got the try. Referee signals the try, and I'll just double check as he comes out, but I'm pretty sure it was Jeff Morgan who got the try. We're going to give it to him. And suddenly, Woden, well, they've started to gap this Yass Magpies side.
Yeah, it's too easy, and you saw the frustration from the Magpies. They throw the ball away after the try was scored. They've done a lot of hard work in defence, and that was just a simple regulation, one off the ruck hit up. They'd be very disappointed with that effort.
There's another factor coming into play here, and that is Woden getting repeat sets. The repeat sets for the Woden Valley Rams, it's just taking a toll on Yass. And the thing is, early in the season when you're largely fully fit, but you're not match fit, if that makes sense. Your body fitness is fine, but you haven't been playing competitive games, so you're not necessarily used to the hard hits and the bumps and so on. Early in the season, when you've got to keep tackling, it becomes exponential. It gets harder and harder, and the longer Woden maintain this huge possession advantage over Yass, the harder it's going to get for the Magpies.
Exactly, and against a side with the quality that this Rams side possesses. You look at their spine. Dane Spencer, Lincoln Withers, whether it's Adam Lucas or Costa Pasantis at hooker. There's plenty there's plenty of talent in there to take advantage of any opportunity you give to this team.
And they don't get much easier than that, do they? Lincoln Withers with another conversion. So he's 2 from 3 with the boot today, and that makes it 16-0. And 13 minutes left on the match clock before half-time.
Well, Chris, I know we said that there's been a lot of changes in this Yass team, and I came into this game thinking, you know, off the basis of last season, that the margins between these two teams last season was just 3 points and 1 point in the games that they played against each other. So it might have been 2 points and 1 point, so 3 points overall. But at the moment at 16-0, it's not looking good.
No, and we know also how important for and against can be in this Bloomers Lawyers Canberra Raiders Cup competition. I wouldn't be surprised to see Woden aren't going to ease up here. If they get a sniff to really blow this one off the park, they will do precisely that. But still a long way to go. And if Yass score next and don't allow another try before half-time, we'll be set for a most intriguing second half. But first things first, Yass have actually got to get some football, because at the moment they're really struggling to do that. Jeff Morgan scored a try a moment ago and now involved again for them as they run it out. And I reckon that's again Maloney. They're right in the middle of the park. Look how far they're going. Every tackle, they're just making additional yardage. The kick comes downfield. It's picked up by Houston. Let's see what he's got. Oh, he's been taken. And yeah, DeSax, who we've been impressed with so far, probably could have timed that tackle just a little bit better. I won't say there was any malice in it. I'll just say it was poorly timed. And Yass will get the ball. I'll get the penalty. Now, who have they got who can go for the big Aussie rule style torpedo? Anybody? Try and kick a few extra metres down the field. How far has he got it? Only to the 40.
Well, who would have had money on the first 3 try scorers to be the number 8, the number 11 and number 12?
Yeah, your footy trifecta on that would pay quite a bit, wouldn't it? Willie Peace with the ball on the first tackle for the Yass Magpies. And up over the halfway line. It's a pretty ordinary ball to Fabian Antonio. That's the first time we've seen him out there today. He did well to hang on to it. Another one of the Tuggeranong recruits from Yass. Tell you, that's a long way to go in this Canberra Raiders Cup competition too. And now in the blue headgear, it's Isaiah Numata. So they've made a couple of changes, the Magpies. So let's see if that changes the point of their attack. And there's Ben Davis. So 3 changes in a relatively short period of time. That's Johnson. Johnson goes for the kick. Chasing it back is Malasauskas. They've lost the ball there. Spencer's fumbled that. So Yass are going to get the ball and they'll get a really good chance to attack.
Yeah, they get a result out of that kick. A nice little grubber into the in goal. Well, might not have made it to the in goal, but nice little kick from Carl Johnson. Forces a repeat set here for the Magpies and their first real attacking opportunity inside the Rams 20.
Always love it early in the season when a player comes out with something easily identifiable on, when it's the first time perhaps you've seen them, or first time you've seen them in a while. I don't recall seeing Isaiah Numata a lot before. He's going to be real easy to pick out there. The bright blue headgear. Always nice when that happens, Sonny.
Makes our job a hell of a lot easier.
And there he is right there, and he pops it over to Atu Tupou. And Tupou, they struggle to bring him down, and he's just inside the 10. That's the first tackle. They've got numbers to the right. Do they go that way? No, they go across to the left again through Numata and then back to Edwards. Mitch Edwards, only 5 metres out. Now to the right. Johnson. Johnson on the outside gets it across to Sean Davis. Woden, they're doing exactly what they need to do. Every man has his target. So, Yass trying something with a little bit of a change of direction to see if it makes any difference, and it doesn't. Now they come across with a little kick, and it's been picked up off the ground. And this could be trouble. Oh, no, good defence, good covering defence coming in there. I think it may have been Antonio who came in for the defence, and it was. And now they're on the way. Look how far. Look at this. That's a second tackle, and they're out to the 30.
Just quick play the balls off the back. There's nothing complex about what the Rams are doing here.
Nope. It's just simple stuff. And a lot of it's just coming, little runs from dummy half. They're across to the right, getting involved again. DeSax. And then Maloney. And we've got Malasauskas, the man who was tackled. Withers, dodgy pass from him for mine, but it's gone to Martin. Martin's through the line. He pops it back to Withers. Withers has knocked it on. It's been picked up off the ground there by the Magpies, and so there won't be any need for a scrum. They've scored an extra 5 metres out of that, so it'll be play on.
Well, they bombed one there. There's the pass a little bit low for Lincoln Withers to take it to see Fa'iti with a good run.
Oh, yeah, good work from him.
But definitely a missed opportunity there for the Rams to go even further ahead.
Now, Jai Smith, we haven't seen a lot from him. The winger for the Yass Magpies, getting himself into the middle of the park to get a little bit more game time and get his hands on the ball. Now it goes to the man with the tape, Atu Tupou. And Tupou.
I think he's broken one tackle every time he's touched the ball today. Got to get him more involved.
It was reminiscent there of Horsburgh for the Raiders last night, wasn't it? The way he was turned around backwards as he's got the little kick through and it goes to Sparnan. Sparnan is 15 out.
His number's right.
They keep going across. Now it's with Davis, Davis. He gets it on to Willie Peace. Peace pops one out, and would you believe it, has been taken there by the Rams.
We've got a penalty here. He's playing advantage for offside.
They've got the offside, so they will get the ball back. It's probably a good thing because, gee,
yeah.
Cam Hardy, the coach for Yass this year, he would have been absolutely blowing up Deluxe if they turned the ball over there if they hadn't got that penalty.
Absolutely. Opportunity. Just go through the hands, boys. There's a try in the corner every time.
Now they've got on his own way over the other side. They've got Jai Smith. They've got the overlap if they need it off the next play the ball. That's Antonio. They're just short. Couple of quick balls to the left and they'll get there. Wrong option from Numata. Woden have covered it now, so they'll have to come back to the right, and they do so with Ben Davis. Ben Davis probably should have passed again. These little runs from one off the ruck are not going to do it for them. They need to spread the ball and get around, but Woden have got it covered. Shepherd's had a look both left and right. Chances is arm to the left. They go way out there. They get it across to Jai Smith. Smith puts the ball down. I think it was Geiger in the tackle. Fayette picks it up, but it's been lost forward by the Yass Magpies once again. Oh, geez. I don't want to go near the dressing room for Yass at half-time because I think the paint may be peeling off the walls.
Yeah, I want to compliment the defence here, though, because there was it was a good cut-out pass, maybe a little bit slow to hit the winger on that option, but there was good scramble defence from Woden in the end to nullify any danger on that left edge.
Well, it'll be another Woden scrum here. Just having a look. Clock's actually been stopped here with 6 minutes and 9 till the break.
We might have another player down in back play.
Just having a look out there. There's someone sucking in a few big ones behind the scrum there. I don't think he's actually in the hands of the trainer. Oh, there is somebody down there. You're right. There's someone way down. Now, you may have spotted this at home before we did because we don't have a view of the monitor here. So I'll take a stab that it was actually Michael Geiger who I think helped encourage the Yass knock-on there. But he's up now, so he's all right. He's backing up from the Country Under-23 Championships yesterday. One of 3 players involved in today's game doing that. You've got Adam Lucas as well, his teammate backing up from yesterday. And the third of the trio is Noah Venisi for the Yass Magpies. Although we haven't seen an awful lot from Venisi just yet.
Started to work their way back into the game a little bit over the last few minutes, Yass. A little bit more possession. It always helps when you hold on to the pill.
It does. Always said it's hard to score without it.
And I would have said maybe a little bit of a better ball with that last pass to the winger. They might have gone over, but better signs for them.
Look, they're still backing themselves. That's the important part. They're backing themselves. They're not doing anything silly. As Maloney takes it forward for the Woden side once again. Did that ball come loose in there? Oh, it's not Maloney, that's actually Malasauskas. They're both blonde-haired and both got white boots. And they're both very similar build, the two of them. And Malasauskas, I'm expecting to see him out in the wing. And there's Maloney there. So there's really not a lot between them. Malasauskas probably slightly longer blonde hair. Maloney brought to ground centre of the Phillip District Oval Rugby League ground. No mistaking Solomon Kafusi. Bounces out of the first tackle. Ben Davis in there. Helped by Charlie Shepherd. Actually not much help in the end as Kafusi escapes and goes through to the secondary defence, and it's Tupou who will credit with the tackle. Now it's Withers. Flat pass to Maloney. Another flat pass to go on the outside. And that one was forward, and then the ball's lost forward and rolls into touch. So take your pick. Anywhere along that 20-metre line, there's reasons for Yass to get the ball back.
Well, I tell you what, I don't think the touch he called a forward pass. I think he might have just, the knock-on might have saved Yass there.
Yeah, well, there was a forward pass and knock-on and into touch. So
dealer's choice.
yeah, 3 for the price of 1. And this game, I think both sides will be very, very happy when half-time comes, because I suspect that the warm weather just starting to take a toll. There's 4.5 till the break. Clock's still ticking, so make it 4 minutes and 20 seconds now till half-time. So Yass will probably get 2 more shots at it to try and close this gap. But right now, with a 16-zip scoreline, you can look at that scoreboard and say, well, it's probably been all Yass, and you'd be largely correct. Willie Peace, the target, pops it out the back. Now, who's he got? Over on this side of the ground, they had Johnson, and then Johnson gives it to, that would be Antonio, I think, in there. It is. So they're at the 30. They go left, and it's with Fayette, and they make it to the 40. No gaps in this Woden line. Well drilled at the moment. Antonio pops it back and finds Numata. Numata still going, bounces out of the first tackle. Brought to ground from behind by Brad Martin.
He's been lively since he's come on.
He has been, and we've got a whistle in here because
another player down.
It looks like Martin took the tackle and then, or made the tackle, and then I think it's him who didn't get back up. It'd be hard to pick who it is at the moment because he's lying prone on the ground. It does look like, well, it looks like his boots. Is that too much of a call to make? I remember seeing them before the game. They are the blackest of black boots that I've seen. And the man who's down there on the ground is wearing a pair of the blackest of black boots. I can't see his face, I can't see his chest, I can't see anything other than his right arm at the moment.
Just while we're waiting for the play to resume, how good has Kafusi been in this first half? You mentioned earlier he probably wasn't expecting to play this many minutes, but he's been dynamic every time he's touched the ball. Couple tackle breaks, good offloads, making plenty of yardage.
He's been good off the bench, as has this man for Yass.
Just look at him. Is this him marking up here at marker?
That's him.
Look at the size difference between.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Little and Large. They were an English comedy duo back in the day, weren't they? Little and Large?
Before my time, Chris. Before
Okay.
my time.
I keep forgetting I'm an old man. And, well, that's interesting. That's Bradley Martin coming off now. Now, if he doesn't come back on, Woden are down to 2 on the bench. So
Been Luke Johnson coming on,
yeah,
who just finished up playing in the reserves, I believe.
well, Yass will start to think, and this is where they've got to start thinking now. Just don't let any more points in, and physical exertion may take a toll. Because if Hodge and Martin both don't come back, that's 2 impact players for Woden who are both missing. So, Yass, they go across to the left. Oh, dear, Jai Smith. He's absolutely butchered that.
That was a beautiful pass from Carl Johnson, just to put his centre on the outside in Fa'iti. And, you know, it wasn't a difficult pass for the winger to take. That's an opportunity missed.
That may have been the money's been spent on the lollies before he's got to the corner shop, eh? So now, with 3 minutes left, it'll be Woden will get the ball. Like I said, I reckon Yass will get one more crack Yass will get one more crack if Woden don't score. What's your error count up to?
I've got 7 for the Rams and 7 for the Magpies now, so 14 all up.
You've got 7 for each team, but why does it seem that it's Yass who's made way more than Woden? Has it been the position on the field of those errors?
I would say so.
I can go across to the left, and there he is, Luke Johnson. Played a considerable portion of reserve grade, as mentioned by Sonny just a moment ago. So it's going to be a struggle for Woden here if they are down to 2 plus one, and one of those being a tired reserve. But they're still throwing the ball around with abandon, and it's Dane Spencer. He's always a dangerous player. As we see the ball go to the left shoulder of Sean Maloney, he loses it over his shoulder, just gets enough of a fingertip on it for it to be ruled as a knock-on the way through. And so Yass now, this will be the last set of 6 for the half, you would imagine. With 2 minutes left, it'll take 45 seconds or so for the scrum to get packed. So they'll have 1:15. Well, this is really set play training drill stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, you know, 16-0 down at half-time. Yeah, all the momentum's with Woden, but you get one back. You know, you just it's just this little, momentum's a very funny thing in rugby league, you know.
Yep.
You get inside your opposition heads just with a late try before half-time that maybe they're not out of it yet.
Well, you often see the late try before half-time accompanied by an early try just after the break. And that's what Yass will be looking for now. Willie Peace can't find a way through, but he's taken a couple of Woden defenders with him, Tom Evans being one of them and Daniel Pryor being the other. Now it's Fayette Ete. I'd like to see him working more up the middle of the park, and he spent a lot of time over on the left. Now he's closer to the middle. That's the second tackle. Mitch Edwards now. There's a little dummy, gets inside the 40. So that's the third tackle, and they're 30 out. And we're into the last 60 seconds of the half. Johnson, across to his right, finds Davis. Davis, with quick hands, may have been able to get Spartan into a bit of space. They give it to Johnson again. Johnson kicks through. Now, this will be a foot race here. Houston chasing, but it's well covered by Spencer. The ball rolls into touch. 35 seconds or so left on the scoreboard. So I suspect we'll see a couple of plays here because... Oh, it was a kick on the fourth, wasn't it? That was on the fourth. That wasn't the fifth, was it?
Correct. Regardless, we'll have a scrum.
We'll have a
10
scrum.
metres out.
So, yeah, we'll get the scrum. So we'll get one play off the back of the scrum. I can't imagine these sides are going to be in any great hurry. The referee, Mr. Ayono Fatu, will say, no, I want the scrum to go down, because that seems to be the trend in refereeing these days, is to not let the play run out while the scrum hasn't formed. Woden take their time to get in there.
I'd say both coaches would be keen to get both sides into the locker room. It doesn't really apply when one of the coaches is out there playing in the number 7 jersey, does it?
Well, not really, but I get the sentiment, and you may have just heard the bell ringing. So, bell no siren here this afternoon, interestingly enough. And with 40 minutes elapsed, well, it's been an interesting first half. I think a lot of people here were perhaps expecting Yass to start better and then slow down, but it has been Woden who have done the better in the first stanza. They lead by 16 points to nothing with tries to Daniel Pryor, Bradley Martin and Jeff Morgan, and Lincoln with his 2 conversions from 3 attempts. But, Sonny, here's the wild card in the deck. I would be very surprised if we saw Tyson Hodge make a return. I would be extraordinarily surprised if he came back in, and I think Bradley Martin may be a 50-50 proposition for the remainder of this game as well. So how will that affect the remainder of this game?
Completely agree with you. And then you've got to take into consideration that this season the interchanges are now also down to 8. So, it's a hot day out here at Woden. It's round 1. Match fitness isn't quite there yet, and they're down to just 2 on the bench early on.
Ordinarily, we might take a bit of a break during halftime, but we've got a load of stuff that we can talk about. So, ready for a chinwag?
Absolutely.
Let's go through a few of these things. Some of the local rugby league news, of course. The Monero Colts losing the final of the Under-23 Country Championships. Disappointing result for them to go down yesterday, but third year in a row that Monero Colts side's made it through to the final of that tournament. So that's an encouraging sign for the future rugby league in this part of the world.
Absolutely, and there were a lot of, there were a number of players from the Rams today that are backing up. A couple that have pulled out late, just in terms, I think they got back at 11:30 last night, so it's a bit of an ask to ask them to back up the very next day after what was a draining game of football. Yeah,
tough game of footy, long day on the bus, but congratulations to everyone involved in that. As I said, 3 players backing up. I think there was a couple of, I can tell you, there were a couple of Woden players. Harry Van Dartel and Cody Hodge were both involved in that, but haven't backed up today. So that's had a little bit of an impact on this game this afternoon. Big signing news during the week for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, and next week we'll see this man in action when the Bloomers Lawyers first grade match of the day is the Queanbeyan Derby from Seaford Oval. But for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, Reece Robinson will be lining up. The multi-clubbed, including the Raiders, multi-club NRL player. Great to see him in the Roos jerseys.
Absolutely. Excitement machine. It's going to be interesting seeing Terry Campese on one side. He spent a lot of his career setting up tries for Reece Robinson, and now they'll line up against each other.
So that's one to keep an eye out for next week. And we should mention that, of course, that the coverage has been set out for the first 9 rounds here on Bar TV. Just check out the website to find out more about which games are going to be on. But it doesn't matter which club you want to see. Every club will feature in the first 9 rounds on 2 occasions. So you'll get every club between now and round 9. And then we start to pick the games in terms of potential finals impact. Or local rivalries, but for the first 9 rounds, every club gets 2 games brought to you here on Bar TV, whether it's myself or Sonny or James bringing you the commentary. We'll have it all for you here. And we should also welcome our sponsors for our Man of the Match award for season 2019, ActuAGL. And you'll be able to see the interview with the Man of the Match every week as well via the Canberra Region Rugby League website or Facebook page. But yeah, next week it'll be Queanbeyan, the big derby at Seaford Oval on Saturday afternoon. And of course, that's if you like, the pipe opener for a big weekend of local rugby league, which then goes through with all the Canberra Raiders Cup games. And then we go into Sunday night NRL action at GIO Stadium. What a game that's going to be, Sonny. Parramatta coming to town in form up against the Raiders, who are just going along nicely, thank you.
Yes, it's been a very enjoyable start to the season, our best start since 2005. So, yes, I can imagine there are a lot of Raiders fans out there, ourselves included, that are getting a little bit excited. Not carried away with it just yet, but we're pretty happy with the way we've started this season. And Parramatta, like you said, they were very impressive in their win last night as well, and they come to GIO Stadium. I don't think they've won in Canberra for a number of years, though. Trying to think back to when they last won out at GIO, and it's not coming to my mind all that easy.
Well, there'll be a lot of fans of the home side who'll be hoping that continues. Of course, Parramatta probably has one of the sides in Canberra with a big following here in Canberra, so it should draw a big crowd, especially being a Sunday night 6 o'clock kickoff and the start of the school holidays. So there's no school the next day, so there should be plenty of people at GIO Stadium. John Kreuter from the Canberra Raiders Cup is around here as well. John, I'm going to have to throw you my headset because we actually don't have... Oh, Sonny's going to throw you his, so I'll throw you a headset for a quick conversation. And so great to have you back on for a few conversations for 2019.
Cheers, Chris, and you got me right in a mouthful of food, but
Mate,
good to be back. Yeah,
it's called the Stitch Up.
I know.
It's something I'm working on in my other job with Raiders on Mix, where we're trying to stitch up other guys in the commentary team, and I thought we can't have you missing out on the fun here.
No, definitely not. It's been pretty interesting first half of footy. Very, very error-strewn.
Is it as warm down there as we think it is?
It's warm. It's very hazy as well. It's actually not very visible, especially when you're running in the middle and that dust just in the centre of the field that you should be able to see on screen. That players running through that, there's just a bit of a almost like a little bit of dust storm going through there. So it can be quite hard to see at times. But I think for me, one thing that's kind of disappointed me in this first half is I feel like the Yass props. I think you guys talked about them a fair bit in the lead up, and they just haven't seemed to want the ball that much. Sapani Alupo's been pretty good. He's been willing, but there's been a bit of passing around, just trying to find a willing runner, and I think that's a big difference because both the sides have a lot of errors in them at the moment, just handling and just late disruptions to lineups with a few of the Monero guys not backing up from yesterday, which is fair enough too. Got back at 11:30 last night from Mudgee, so there's a lot of improvement in both sides, but the willingness of Yass is just hasn't been what I expected. What we've seen in Yass in the last few years is, even though they haven't had the biggest pack, they've always matched up quite well. So it'll be interesting to hear what's being said in the sheds at halftime. Yeah,
the big question that Sonny and I had was with Tyson Hodge going down, and I'd be extraordinarily surprised if he plays again today. And in fact, going by the way he was taken off, there's a pretty nasty concussion looming there, and I reckon he may get a week off out of that as well, because we're much more careful about head injuries to players these days. So without Hodge, and then with Bradley Martin being taken from the field late in the first half as well, although admittedly he didn't look as bad, but if they can't bring him back, that's going to pose some questions for Woden, because that takes them down to 2 on the bench, and one of those bench players was Luke Johnson, who played a sizable whack of reserve grades. So really they're down to one of their fresh reserves, just it will have a real impact on their rotations. And if Yass can just stop Woden from scoring, last 10 minutes, 15 minutes in this match might get really, really interesting.
Well, the other interesting thing is that obviously Martin's down that right edge, and that's where they've been causing most of the troubles. They've either been down that right edge or through the middle. So Lincoln Withers was linking up quite nicely there with Brad Martin, and Geiger there as well, and in the number 15, I believe that was Liam Simonson, yeah. So there looks like there's a lot of potential down that edge. Just wasn't quite working, just a few missed time runs and things like that. But obviously having Martin gone, that's if he doesn't come back, that's a big loss. But from what I saw, I could be completely wrong. I'm not a doctor, but I think he'll be back.
more likely than Tyson Hodge coming back. We will take a quick break here, John. Always good to have a chat with you. And, of course, you'll be conducting the interview with the ActUAGL man of the match after the game, so people can keep an eye on the website for that one. But I will just leave hanging there the little bit of Raiders trivia that I threw out earlier. That we were talking about Liam Simonson. Now his brother Bailey scored a try in his only game for the Raiders so far. At the moment, there are, across Raiders history, there's only been 3 players, Simonson being the third, who have as many tries as games played for the Raiders in first grade, and if anyone can name the other 2, they'll be doing extraordinarily well. And now the wheels are turning in your mind.
They're turning. Rapin, I know he's played 95, but I wouldn't be surprised.
No, not even close. I can give you the numbers, but that makes it a little bit too easy.
Guys with, I'm assuming it's guys with who only played a handful of games.
Both played less than 10, yeah.
Less than 10.
Less than 10.
I'll have a bit of a think about it. I'll leave you guys to the call.
We will throw that back out there. We'll take a quick 30-second pause here with Woden back on the ground and Yass not too far away. That's John Croyder from the Canberra Raiders Cup. Second half action here at Phillip District Oval, not too far away. Both sides back on the field here at Phillip District Oval. If you haven't watched footy from this ground before, or quick explanation of some of the geography there. The buildings you see on the far side of the ground, over the road on the far side of the ground, are the sprawling grounds of the Canberra Hospital, which has got bigger and bigger. Used to be the Woden Valley Hospital and about a third of the size when I was a teenager here in Canberra, but now it's considerably bigger as play gets back underway. Lincoln Withers kicks off and Woden for the 16-0 lead, but it'll be Yass to bring the ball out. And I reckon that may have been Antonio who had the first slice of it. Now Numata, so he stays out there as the starting. Well, there's a dummy half for the Yass Magpies in the second half. As we mentioned, he'd added a little bit more dynamism to Yass's attack. And now he goes for a run himself, and he gets through, and he's just about there. He's got someone behind him. He puts the ball into the path of Charlie Shepherd, but it's just too low. Shepherd reaches for it. It comes off the fingertips. Don't know if he actually needed to let that go, or needed to let that go so quickly. And again, Yass put the ball down.
You're right, Chris. He didn't need to. It's just a little bit of impatience. It wasn't last tackle. You've done all the hard work. You've made the break.
It's the first minute of the second half.
That's it. You take the tackle. You get up to your feet as quickly as possible when the opportunities are out wide.
You don't have to try and score off every set. We saw a bit of action from Canberra actually last night. There was a stage in that game against North Queensland where the Raiders had, it was 3 or 4 sets in a row, and then they got a penalty, and the word came out from Ricky Stewart to take the penalty, and I think it was because the Raiders' attack was starting to develop a bit of white line fever. Everyone was trying to score off every single tackle, and Ricky Stewart realised it and just slowed things down, and the Raiders took 2 when they could have probably taken 6 with a little bit more sensible play. But Yass need to remember, you don't have to try and score off every set. Sometimes you're setting things up for the next set. Woden with the ball now. They go across to the left. Pezansis finds DeSax, and DeSax then to Spencer.
No surprise who shot out of the line then?
No, not really. That's actually not Spencer. Who's got the similar haircut to Spencer? Spencer's here at fullback. So there's another guy who's got the very similar shaved side deal going. Can you tell me who that is over there, Sonny, in a minute when you get a chance? Withers now goes with the kick over into the far corner. That's going to have way too much on it. Goes into touch. And Yass will wind up with the ball on their own 10. So who's this with the... Sonny's having a look. Meat raffle's been drawn. I forgot to buy my tickets in that one today. Forgot to buy my ticket in the meat raffle, Johnny. I'm disappointed. Anyway, we'll pick him up in a minute.
Oh, I'm looking at Dane Spencer, so that's not the bloke you're telling me to look at.
There's this one here, fourth one in from the end in the defensive line. Yass will feed the scrum. Their defensive end. And they've taken plenty of time to do that. Ete has it. It's actually Pryor. There you go.
Yes, you're right. Dan Pryor.
So he's been to the Dane Spencer school of hairstyling. And now, oh, geez.
Penalty here for a high tackle.
Well,
it's been a clunky game.
I'm just wanting to see some free-flowing footy.
Been a lot of stoppages, whether it be for penalties or errors. Haven't really got any sort of flow with this game as of yet.
I appreciate it's only round one, and we often do get sort of clunky games in round 1 and 2 to start things off, but you'd just like to see things come together a little bit better for both sides. So Numata takes the tap. He finds Johnson. Johnson has plenty of options, gives it to Willie Peace, and Peace...
Well, guess what?
Yeah. Do we need to say anything? He throws the ball to the ground in disgust. I don't know. If I was Cam Hardy right now, I'd be livid. They've had an unnecessary pass, which Charlie Shepherd was unable to get a handle on, so they've given up possession on that one. Then they've got a relieving penalty early in the tackle count. They've been able to come down and then cough the ball up in the middle of the ground. I would be absolutely livid. Woden with it once again, and going forward is Geiger. Geiger into opposition territory. He's still standing there. Finally takes Adu Tupou to go around and pick up one of his legs just to slow him down to a stop. Now going across to the left with Johnson, and Johnson straightens and takes it over the 40, and he's indeed 35 metres out. Pazansis had options. Third option for him was to run it himself. He could have given it to Stephen Ferry, who's out there in a very interesting combination of long beard and headgear. But instead went for himself, and then Lincoln Withers goes for it himself. Passed the ball there. I was surprised there was no call of held. Woden have lost 5 metres on that. But it's still play on. Malasauskas up over the 20. I've been impressed with him too. He's got plenty of speed.
He's played very well. Very well. Chimed in where he's seen fit.
Not sure when he got advised that he was playing first grade this afternoon. Now it's to Sachs, and to Sachs with the little kick through. It's been picked up by Jai Smith, who hasn't had the best of days for the Yass Magpies. He's just got himself back into the field of play. Only just. Ete from dummy half.
He's a little worse for wear after that hit he's copped as well.
Well, there was plenty of blue and yellow in it. He's probably going to be wondering what the number of the blue and yellow truck that got him was for a while. They're going across to the right again with Peace. Willie Peace. That's the 10-metre line, so that's how good the Woden defence has been. He's only just to the 20 now. What wouldn't hurt here would be a kick over to this side of the ground, because there's nobody home. Instead they try and run it out from their own end, and that's with Ben Davis. And as though Dane Spencer was listening to me, he's dropped back to this side of the ground now. And Malasauskas on the other side is the man who is targeted by the kick. Has to turn around, does well, takes it baseball style almost, running away from it. And turns and gets to the 30 and then to the 40-metre line. I'm impressed by this player. I think we'll see plenty more of him for the Woden Valley Rams as this season progresses.
Just to the side, we've got Mitch Edwards in back play receiving a bit of treatment.
We haven't seen Bradley Martin come back on either just as yet, have we? So could be just one to keep an eye on here. The run from dummy half now is Dane Spencer. Slips out of the first tackle. Gets around Shepherd, eventually gets around Shepherd, and then he manages to straighten and takes the ball inside the 30. So Woden, they're making the middle of the park almost non-existent. Every time they get the ball, they make 10 or 20 metres in the middle of the park, and they get themselves into a good attacking position. Withers onto Maloney, and Maloney, bang! Oh, Ete just launched at him. That wouldn't tickle. Through the hands of Withers to DeSax, and DeSax onto Spencer. Spencer again bounces out of the tackle, tries to run over the top of Numata. Does so. Ball goes to Daniel Pryor. Pryor close to the line. And he's just a metre out. Which way do they go? They go across to the left. Pazantzis looks on his outside, sees Lincoln Withers. This man stole a few tries last year, and he's done it today with great ease, and that is not what the Yass Magpies wanted. A try right under the black dot to Lincoln Withers. That's a true halfback's try.
It is. It didn't look like touching him. He sold. I don't even know if he threw a dummy there. I think it was just a case of Yass overreading the play, and Lincoln strolled over untouched.
Gap was too big. Gap was just too big. And I think that's a sign of tiredness on this Yass side. I don't think they can win here. I just don't think they can win this one from here. They just look too tired.
Their completion rate at the moment is 8 from 17. It doesn't matter what opposition you're up against. You're not winning games when you're completing at less than 50%.
No, way too hard. So what are we at? 8 minutes into the second half.
Just on that, Chris, just on some injury news, it doesn't look like Tyson Hodge will be back for this game, but Brad Martin is back sitting on the bench, so we may see him again this game.
And can't say I'm surprised about Hodge. And Martin. Well, as you said, we may see him back. They may not need to bring him back out if it continues to go the way it's been going. And the conversion successful. So that takes it out to 22 points to nothing. And look, it's not done and dusted. There's still 31 minutes to go in this one, but it would be of paramount importance now for the Yass Magpies to score next. Although, again, what did we see in the grand final last year? It was 30-0 with 30 minutes to go.
That's right. You never say never.
With that, yeah, with a few of these players involved. So never say never. But, yeah, it was 30-0 with about half an hour to go, and then it was 30-all with about 5 minutes left in a truly bizarre game of football. But we're back underway. Spencer thought about passing, elected not to, runs it straight up the middle of the park. And, again, look at that, just makes 3 or 4 metres in the tackle. And one of those players he's taking with him is Noah Venisi. There's no mean feat. And a little run from dummy half for Woden. I saw Kafusi waiting for it, but they didn't even look at him, went the other way. Now he's there. Ball was on the ground in front of him. Spencer picks it up off the turf after the pass was, I thought it may have been slapped down, but no, it's just ill-directed. So that's the 30-metre line they've just gone across. Now it's with Johnson. Luke Johnson to the 40, and Withers comes into dummy half. Runs it himself. Gives it across now to Maloney. Maloney halfway. He's lost the ball in there. And the referee, I think, got a call from the touch judge because the referee was obscured from view. And here's the best opportunity Yass have had in quite some time. They'll get the ball on the halfway line, and for them, they'll be on the scrum will be half-backed in the sun and half-backed in the shade, and they'll be on the shady half. So everything's in Yass's favour on this one, Sonny.
Yes, Chris, that's one way to look at it. Look, there's half an hour to go. You're 22-0 down. It's when you get to this point, it's almost just about setting little goals for your teams, just to work your way back into the game. Get through the next couple of sets. Don't make silly errors. And just, as I said, just work your way back into it.
Don't give away points would be the top priority. Willie Peace, that's a good run. He's been about their best today for Yass, and he makes it up over the 40-metre line on the first tackle. So that's a good start. Now they hang on to the pill. It'll be a good effort for them. That's Davis. Sean Davis to the 30, and now with Ben Davis, they make it inside the 30 and up to the 20. So that's 3 tackles, and they're at the 22. Nemata dummies to the left, turns to the right, gives it off to Johnson. Johnson on his outside finds Willie Peace, and Peace is inside the 10. Oh, he's spun out of a second tackle. He's 5 metres, 4 metres from the line is Willie Peace. Where have they got the numbers? They've got him in the middle of the park. Run from dummy half comes from Carl Johnson. He scored a length of the field try here, a virtual length of the field try here a couple of years ago for Woden. And the ball's gone through, but they could have done a lot more with that. Sparnan was perhaps the target for the little kick through, but, well, they're going to get the ball back. But, yeah, there could have been a better finish for that. They had numbers over to the left.
Yeah, it's the next best result. It's a little bit ad-lib. Carl Johnson, the halfback, tackled on last tackle. It does leave them without an option on last, but As I mentioned, they do get a result. He's thrown some nice passes today, Johnson. Threw a very nice one out to his centre then.
Yeah, could have done without being tackled on that occasion. Well, they're going to get the ball back inside their 40 and get up to the 30 and make it 25 out on the first tackle. So this will be a good start. They've got Vanisi waiting for it here. They've got to give it to him, and they do. And he's had to stop for just a second to take it, so he lost a little bit of his momentum, but he gets to the 15. They've got another big man in Antonio. They give it to him. Tackled high and low.
It's a great tackle down low.
Good work. That was Pazantzis who came in low on him. That's Johnson again, turns it on the outside, gives it to the fullback in Sparnan finds on his outside. Brendan Houston and the Yass Magpies have their first try for the year. Way over the far side of the ground, but that's much better. That's just basic footy. Just do the simple things and do them well, and it's Brendan Houston who's in for the try right over the far side of the ground here. 22 points to 4, so is that the start of the comeback?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's just a nice-looking second-man play.
Simple.
And it is. It's simple. It's off another very nice Carl Johnson pass, who I'll admit his passing game has impressed me today. You know, in a team 22-0 down, you'd think it's unusual hearing that, but I think he's thrown some very nice passes to his centres, and again on this occasion he gets, I think it might have been the fullback that throws the last pass, but he gets him on the outside of his man, and the opportunity's created. I
did have a question in my mind before the game about Johnson at halfback, only because we have seen him in the Canberra Raiders Cup before. A couple of years ago he actually played for Woden. As I mentioned just a minute ago, I saw him score, I don't know if it was quite the length of the field, certainly 70-metre effort from down the near wing at this ground. It was one of the better tries we've seen. But I don't recall him being a defensively strong player. And also, with the greatest respect to the George Took Shield, it's a step down from the Canberra Raiders Cup. So to be a good player for Harden, which he was in that competition, to come back up, take the step up to the Canberra Raiders Cup, to find your feet. But he has not looked out of place here today. So the kick is from, 2 metres in, 25 out. Right foot kick from the right-hand side, and it stays on the right-hand side of the uprights. Got plenty on it. But I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a second rower, a big second rower taking the conversions for a side. But Sean Davis unable to get the points on the board. 22 points to 4 is the scoreline here with exactly 25 remaining. Yass score next. We're back to a 2-try game if they can convert it. Willie Peace retrieves the kick-off, comes outside the 10 up to the 20. Slow play the ball. Johnson. I reckon that's Antonio in there. Yes, trying to get some quicker play the balls going here. A little bit of frustration creeping in from a couple of their players as they wait for some delivery. In the play of the ball, Nimata.
He's been very impressive.
He has been very good. This will be a try here because he's got men on his outside. Vanisi just pinned his ears back. He had Mitch Turner waiting. He should have just turned around and given it to him. They might still turn it into something, as is with Sean Davis. Davis brought down, that's on the 20, that's the last, probably needed to pass it there. Johnson gets inside the 20, kicks it through too much on that, way too much on that. He's been flattened after he kicked it. Referee's pointing at the 20, so it'll come back for a restart. Johnson was put down on his backside after he kicked that, but ball will come back for Woden and they'll get the 7-tackle restart set.
Do you think it ever crossed his mind to pass that ball when he made that break? Was it Noel Vanisi that made the break?
Yeah, I don't think the merest possibility had begun to speculate about the slightest chance of beginning a journey across his mind. No.
I don't think he even bothered with the dummy in the end.
Nah, just decided to go straight back. He had Mitch Turner waiting. Had Mitch Turner there, and I think, I don't know how much speed Turner's got, but I think he may have been able to have enough to get home because he's not exactly a small boy, and there was no one in front of him, so it would have been taken from behind had he been taken at all. But it's Stephen Ferry now with the ball for the Woden Valley Rams. They don't have to do anything terribly fancy here. They've just got to work the ball up the middle for the next 20 minutes and they'll be home. And Pryor Brings them once again to the middle of the park. Withers. Geiger. Ball knocked down forward by Fayette. So 6 again for the Woden side. Martin in at dummy half, so he's back out on the ground, Bradley Martin, and he's been taken around the chops and he's not looking well at all. Oh, gee, and there's... Well, there you go. That's happened right in front of the touch judge. The touch judge having a better view of it than us. Jeff Morgan with that one, and Martin's still down on his haunches. Now the run from Maloney, and Maloney to Ferry. Ferry loses the ball out the back as he's absolutely jumped upon by Sean Davis. Davis just came in and put that. That's a whole body tackle there. The ball goes to ground now. Bradley Martin just... I'm not sure if he's in shot or not, but he's over on this side. He's still down on his haunches. He doesn't look a well boy, Sonny.
No, he's struggling, and as we mentioned, he's already been off once today. Looks like he's going to continue on, though. But yeah, great hit from Sean Davis. It's, you know, it's those sort of hits that can motivate your side. You know, 22-4. Suddenly you score next, as you mentioned, 2 converted tries away, and all the momentum with your side.
A long way to go in this. We're still in the third quarter of the game, if you like. Inside the first 20 of the second half, and on the go. Once again,
look at Tupou go.
Yeah, look at him go. Added Tupou. He's added a black stripe to his headgear in the second half. I had to just double check that it was him and not someone else who'd taped up during the halftime interval. So they're into opposition territory. I really like this guy, Numata, and I hope to see more of him at halfback or a dummy half for the Yass Magpies this season. I really do like the look of him from what I've seen so far today.
Just some more worrying signs. We've got Lincoln Withers, who's out here on this left edge or right edge for the Rams, and he's running a little more freely now as we see a penalty given to Yass. But, you know, the trainer's just sticking with him. He doesn't look 100%.
So Yass are going to get a penalty here. Now they're on the 30, so you're right. Lincoln Withers is way over here. Having a chat with the trainer. He's the captain coach for this side. I wonder if Yass will pick this and start running it at him. Is that Iolupo back out there?
Sure is.
Not that you really need to ask. It was more a rhetorical question. Johnson to his outside to Spano. Spano gets it onto Willie Peace, who puts the afterburners on and goes for the try line. Oh, try-saving tackle. Half a metre in it. And then they slow play the ball. There's got to be a penalty in there for it. I don't know if the penalty's actually going to help them much here. A quick play of the ball would have been very, very handy.
Was that Dane Spencer on his line?
I think it was. Gee, the speed from Peace. Vanisi takes the ball to 5 metres out. Yass have woken up in the last couple of minutes.
Real opportunity on this left side.
Okay, they've got Mitch Turner waiting for it. They cut him out. Instead, they go to Johnson. Johnson turns it back to the right. Still running. And he gives it back to, I think it's Vanisi again. Or was it Davis that time? It was the other second row was Davis. Now they give it to the big man in Sopani Iolupo. And he just hits the wall. As though he's the wrecking ball and he goes straight through. Well, yeah. What's the physics problem? The irresistible force and the immovable object. Well, there was the irresistible force was Sopani Iolupo. The Woden Valley defence was a long way from the immovable object. It just crumbled. That wouldn't tickle, and suddenly it's 22 points to 8. Kick to come, and the kick will come from directly in front of the posts.
Just too big, too strong. There's very little you can do about a big bloke running at 100 miles an hour, 2 metres out from your own line.
What's her name? Miley Cyrus. Came in like a wrecking ball. That was...
Doesn't matter. You hit high, you hit low. A bloke that size is going to be tough. Doesn't matter what grade he's playing.
So 62nd minute. And the conversion is successful from Sean Davis. So the Sopani Iolupo try. And the conversion to Sean Davis, and we have a 2-try game, 18 minutes left. Neutral observers will be very happy with how that has come to pass. Woden fans not quite so happy, but not panic stations yet.
You're starting to see a few more opportunities for Yass. I mean, it helps that they're holding onto the ball, but, you know, the gaps are starting to open up in this Woden Rams defensive line. They're finding opportunities. As I mentioned before, Johnson's passing game has been on point. Even then, when Peace was held up, it was off a lovely Johnson pass to, again, put his outside man in a bit of space.
Johnson, and just giving it to another one of his big forwards. That was Davis. Now Numata. This is really looking an awful lot better. They're suddenly looking like a completely different side, Yass.
It's a quicker play, the balls, playing more direct.
Just look at him go.
Love to see Tupou get a little bit more ball one-on-one on this left edge.
Well, you might just get your wish. Ball comes on the outside to a man who is having a day that he will not want to remember. Jai Smith, he's put 2 down in this game that really would have put him into open space and got cleaned up, chumming out of his in-goal area as well. He really hasn't had a good day.
No, and they're unforced errors as well. It's not like there's pressure coming in from the inside defence. He's got open pasture in front of him. And there have been a couple could have been moments for Yass so far this game. And unfortunately for him, a number of them have fallen his way.
Just going to pose a question while this scrum's being packed. Just have a look at the legs of Sopani Iolupo there. Do you reckon that that's half the strapping budget for the Yass Magpies for this game, just to get around his legs, which are like Californian redwood trees?
I pity their physio.
There's a lot of it's okay for that end, so we'll just carry on. No, we have certainly lost our sound at the headphone end, but we'll just keep on going. Our camera operator is still there, so. Just Iron Man to be out there still. It's Jeff Woden, hot ball to Maloney, and Maloney spins just about out of the tackle. He's ripped around by his collar. Players asking assistance in there, but they don't get it. Woden. Just short of the line, last tackle. Here, they go initially to the right, then across to the left. They've got numbers out there. Wrong option from Spencer. He's back on the inside to Saxton. Withers is now on the 20. Puts it over to the corner. It bounces off hands and over the sideline.
And we're coming out to the 20. So we'll come out to the 20. Yass surviving that onslaught from the Rams.
Near thing.
A very near thing. Some enterprising play from the Rams on last, as they take it just short of the 40-metre line. Niamatu in a dummy half. This time they come right. Hitting another good tackle there. Very surprised that that Martin has stayed out in the field. But he's definitely been a dominating force on this right edge. As Iti takes it into the line. He's been strong as well. Saw out a few handling errors in the first half, but has definitely come good as this time he squares up to Martin. And this time they've gone straight through. There's support on the outside. They go to Niamatu, who will go and score under the posts. Yes, well and truly back into this game. Well, it's come out of nowhere, Chris.
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
From 22-0 down, Yass, all of a sudden, with all the momentum. And it's that man again, who I think really changed the momentum in the first half, Niamatu. He's been very impressive since he's come on. Niamata, sorry, beg your pardon. And now with a kick directly in front. Yass look like they're just going to be 6 points behind. And as you mentioned before, there's still plenty of time in this football game. And they've definitely had some purchase out of this right side for the Rams. Found themselves in a bit of space a couple of times. This time they do manage to convert. And it's Niamata that goes over and brings Yass within a converted try.
Well done there. Somewhere in the chain of command, my microphone got disconnected. When you've got so many links in the chain, you've got to suddenly work your way all the back. So well done, Sonny Singh. And what a try. We've been waxing lyrical about Isaiah Numata during the course of this game, and now he gets his name in the scorebook, and then the conversion comes from Sean Davis. So Numata doing his second rower and conversion kicker a big favour and scoring it under the post, and suddenly we've got, what, a 6-point ball game, 12 minutes left.
We've got a ball game, all right.
Love it.
As we mentioned before, you know, fatigue starting to kick in a little bit. Gaps starting to appear in these defensive lines. Exciting start to the Canberra Raiders Cup for this year.
We said it a few minutes ago that, yes, we're looking a completely different side. Woden just looking a little bit flat. And so the danger for them now is that we've got a Yass side with momentum. We've got the ball here, and that's Ialupo. Numata will be sky high on confidence as well after. There's nothing quite like the feeling of running the last 30 metres to score a try and going through virtually untouched. That was Venisi. Gee, they're suddenly working it big with their forwards, aren't they?
Look at that fend off on Withers from Tupou.
So you've had Ialupo, Venisi and Tupou in successive plays. And now the little run from a little man in Numata. Woden slow to get off him.
Got another man down.
McDonald comes in. Chip comes over the top. Interesting, but it's taken by Bradley Martin. For a second rower, he's quite athletic, is Martin.
He's been in everything today.
Now pick and go from Caleb Malasauskas, who had a very intense first half. I haven't seen as much of him in the second stanza.
Well, look at how compressed Woden are. You could throw a blanket over this side at the moment.
There doesn't seem to be a lot left in the tank. Adam Lucas coming back onto the ground there for them, so they've got a fresh reserve. And we did mention it earlier, interchange down to 8 this year in the Canberra Raiders Cup, so fatigue may well be a factor. Big man there, Solomon Kafusi for the Woden Valley Rams, into opposition territory by 8 metres. Across to the right with Withers, and Withers, it just holds up. Rolls.
That's a great kick
into
in the
in goal area. Yeah, I tell you, he's a better kick than I am a judge of it. Oh, it's been lost. Oh, Philip Sparnan. He goes down on his hands and knees, and he's looking for a hole to crawl into and bury himself in to hide from this because, oh, that's terrible. It's a try. I can't tell you who scored it because there were too many Woden players going down there, and I've got to confess I was looking more at Sparnan for a second as the ball has gone to ground. That's tragic. It doesn't snuff them out, but it just makes it an awful lot harder. And Sparnan's had a pretty good day for Yass at fullback.
I think it might have been Adam Lucas that scored the try. Not 100% sure.
Just an opportunist try coming off a pretty awful error.
It's a great kick. It's a great kick from Lincoln and a great kick chase.
Well, it looked originally, that kick looked like it was going to sail out over the touchline. And then it's held up. Bounced 1 metre, maybe less, inside the field of play. Sparnan suddenly had to make all sorts of efforts to get to it, and he's got to it and fumbled it. Inexperience perhaps there. Maybe should have just grabbed it and just gone to ground, but trying to do too much with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just, I put that credit purely down to the chase. I thought it was a great effort from, I think it was Lucas. Again, we'll have to confirm probably post-game, but...
I reckon the ground announcer will have a better idea than we do, but we'll find out in a tick, yeah.
No, it was a great kick chase, enough pressure, and yeah, as you mentioned, Spartan has had a good game. It's just unfortunate for him that I guess it's a big moment in the context of this one. As Lincoln, well, that's closer to the sideline than it is the goalpost.
Closer to the other sideline than to the goalpost. That's quite a spectacular miss. Here we go. There's been much discussion going on in the ground announcers area. There you go, Adam Lucas. Sonny, you've picked it well. 26-16. So 10 points the difference. 8 minutes to play. Yes, not out of it, but they've made it a little bit harder for themselves. And who's that covered in claret who's coming off? That's... oh, geez, it's gone everywhere.
He might need a new jumper as well, I think.
So play, the clock stopped for this. It's James DeSax who's coming off, and he will be out there in a new jumper. There's blood all over it, all down his back. They're just, at the moment, we often talk in sport terms about sides having to stop the bleeding in a figurative sense. Here they are actually doing it in a literal sense on James de Sachs on the sideline. It is pouring out there. It's not a big cut. It's a head cut, and head cuts can bleed profusely. They're throwing a considerable amount of tape.
That's where the other half of the budget's gone.
There's been a massive blowout in tape budgets here at Phillip this afternoon.
The headgear's going on as well.
I think that's Stephen Ferry's headgear. And now the jersey's coming off. And he's brought
the tape off with it as well, has he?
No, he's just taking the headgear off with it. And just be aware that he's out there in, I reckon it'll be 21, so at least it's a fresh jersey. He's got Stephen Ferry's sweaty headgear. But at least they've given him a fresh jersey to finish the game in. Clock isn't going, by the way. Clock stopped for all this. And the mummy gets a call, gets a round of applause as he comes back out. Clock restarts. Woden go for the short kickoff. Yass go for the short kickoff. It bounces once, it bounces a second time before it's taken on the run by Dane Spencer, who'd read that very, very well in the end, and he's brought to ground 25 out.
It was a great kickoff. Yass just had a complete air swing at it.
It's almost like a baseball looking for a walk as opposed to a hit.
Might have been a lost ball here. No, play on the call.
Play on. Now they just give it to Kafusi for Woden. So we're back to a 10-point game, 26-16, 7.5 remaining. Now Maloney again. Sat down 5 metres into Yass territory. Morgan makes another 10.
He's been immense for them today as well.
Very good, very good. Scored a try. Been involved in plenty on the attack. Now Withers kicks. Well, he kicked for that corner last time and it worked out well. This time it may have just gone. Nope, it stayed this side of the corner post according to the touch judge. So that's a great kick. Withers, that's 2 top kicks to this corner of the field.
Expect nothing less from him, Lincoln. The old head. Just a mature decision. He knows the team just needs to see this one out now.
Of course, that kick has meant the clock keeps on rolling. If Yass score now, they're going to sit here and ponder for the next 7 days what might have been. You realise that?
Have had a lot of opportunities, even not necessarily all in try-scoring positions, but as we mentioned before, I think it's Jai Smith that's had a few opportunities on the wing. He's been unmarked. He's just put the ball down. They've had a couple opportunities like that have just gone missing.
Willie Peace has had a good game. He's been the standout player for Yass today. No surprise that he's the captain for season 2019. Truly inspirational figure for the Magpies. They're still going for it. They know that a try on this set will give them probably 2 more sets to level it up.
I'd love to see them keep coming down this edge. This is where they've got the most purchase out of Woden. And this bloke, again, he palms them off for fun.
Tupou. Look at that. Damn it, he's at 1, 2, 3.
His tackle break count would be in double digits today.
He still didn't eventually go down. The referee had to call held.
That's a big hit.
Oh, Noah Venisi, you're not going to stop me. Sadly for this set, that's the last tackle. So they've got to do something with it, and they kick, and it goes straight to Caleb Malasauskas, and Malasauskas can straighten and run, goes to the 40 before he turns to his right and is brought down by McDonald, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Now it's Spencer. Spencer leads the first tackle.
He's looked dangerous on his return as well, Dane Spencer.
Mitch Turner eventually finishing the job. It's with Martin. Martin, for a man who's copped a couple of big hits today, has had a good game as well. Lucas in at dummy half, goes across to the left and finds Simonson. Still haven't given the answer to the trivia, have I? Simonson to 32 metres out. They go across to the right, and it's Kafusi again, and the crowd get right behind him. He pops one out late in proceedings, gets it to Maloney. Maloney jinks and jags and gets to the 10. It's the last tackle. Woden looking to administer the last rights to this game. That was de Sachs. De Sachs puts the ball on the outside, comes back around through Pryor, and Pryor is brought down 18 metres out. It'll be a handover with 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So you picked one of the Canberra Raiders players with as many tries as games. Sonny Singh, you worked out one of them?
I did. Nathan Smith, the former Raider and former Panther player as well, I believe.
Yeah, 7 tries in 7 games for the Raiders. back in the day. The other one, Damon Booby is the other one. 2 tries, 2 games for the Raiders in the Super League days.
See John Crowder nodding his head here yet that he knew all along. 0 contribution to our trivia today.
Faete on that run, and now it's Venisi. They're still in their own half here, the Yass side. Numata, a little kick comes through. There's a bit of space for this to roll into, but it's just picked up by Spencer, and Spencer, he's still going. He hasn't been called. He has been called held, so he's got to go back a couple of metres. So again, everything that Woden can do now to take up a couple more seconds makes it that little bit harder for Yass. Now it's Michael Geiger. He bounces out of the first attempted tackle from Faete. Faete follows him for a secondary effort and is helped by Numata. We get Maloney to Malasauskas, and Malasauskas 10 metres into Yass territory. In the local rugby union yesterday, by the way, there was a side came back from 47-19 down with 10 to go to tie the game 47-47. So maybe it's going to be a year for comebacks in local sport here in the ACT.
As long as it's not against our Raiders, Chris, I'm happy.
Yeah, but no, that was last year in the Raiders, and enough said. Daniel Pryor with the ball for the Woden Valley Rams, and he's 20 out. Which way do they go? They go across to the left. That's DeSax again. DeSax on the outside finds Evans. Evans gives it across to a man who's had a very good game in Caleb Malasauskas, and I think in many ways a fitting conclusion to this one will be him getting his name in the book with a try.
Absolutely, he deserves it too. As you mentioned, he's had a very, very good game. He's run hard, he's backed up where he's been needed, and he's justly rewarded with a try.
Will pose some selection problems for the Woden Valley Rams because he will deserve another opportunity, but they've got players to come back. And as you'd notice, he's wearing the number 20 jersey out there, so I wouldn't be anticipating a lot of first-grade time, I would imagine, but he's done well to get himself into the book. The man with the longest name, I think, in the Canberra Raiders Cup for 2019.
Just a sign of the depth that they've got here in Woden. That they're able to call on a bloke like him. He, as you mentioned before, he had a very good nines competition in the pre-season, and he's carried on that form into the first game of first grade for the year.
Again, we're seeing the danger of that Woden backline as they just worked across the park there to the overlap, and Malasauskas was able to bring the ball around, put it down under the black dot to make it easy for Lincoln Withers. And well, the game played in, you can almost say played in thirds today. Really, with Woden scoring the first 4 tries, then Yass hitting back with 3, and then Woden scoring 2 in the last 10 minutes to take it back out to a 16-point margin, which is what it was at half-time. So we've seen a 16-all second half. Mind you, there's still a minute to go here. Spencer looking to find a way through. Cops a bit of a hit there from Jesse McDonald. Now on the run, it's DeSax. DeSax just short of halfway. Woden want another one before this game's done. Lucas in a dummy half gives it to Martin, and Martin...
It's a great run.
Gets a bit of encouragement from a few people in the stand as well. They know that he's gone above and beyond the call this afternoon. Now Withers. Well, they're getting the ball into field goal territory here. You realise that. They're right in the middle of the park. 38, another 10 metres. And it may just come back to Withers for the field goal. Yep, here it comes.
He's pointing for it.
Here it comes. Withers has dropped back. Comes to him on the 30, straight in front. And I reckon he's jagged it. He has.
It's another shonky-looking field goal from Lincoln Withers, but they all count in the end.
That one was better than the one on grand final day last year. That one at least had a little bit more elevation to it and didn't look like it was going to miss. So in the end, 33 points to 18, the Lincoln Withers field goal kicks just as time was expiring, and an interesting, intriguing game to get the Bloomers Lawyers Canberra Raiders Cup underway for season 2019. A real quick summary on this one this afternoon, because other than a 15-minute period in the middle of the second half, that game has been dominated by the home side, Sonny Singh.
Yeah, it was all the Rams for a large majority of that game, as you mentioned. There was a momentum shift late in that second half, but the Rams did pretty much, just picked up from where they left off last season. Their attack flowed very well. Yeah, they had a couple missed opportunities as well, and there were a few defensive lapses here and there, but overall they were dominant. For Yass, I thought there were some positive signs there. I thought particularly in that second half, the forward pack started to stand up. Carl Johnson impressed me at halfback. There were some doubts of him earlier on, but I thought he really shone through today, and Willie Peace, as ever, gave 100%. So there are some good signs for Yass going into this season, and I think they'll be thereabouts come around finals time again.
Really quickly, I think Yass, there's certainly plenty to be excited about there. Ialupo, Venisi, Tupou, Mitch Turner at stages as well. Isaiah Numata, I think, was a revelation once he came on and took over at the dummy half role for them. So there's plenty to be excited about there. You've got to feel for Joe Smith today. He just had an absolute shocker, and that may have rubbed off on other parts of the back line, and you feel for Sparnan as well, because that was a true momentum shift there where he lost that ball, and Woden were able to score. But a nice touch here from the Woden Valley Rams to come over to the grandstand and to thank their fans who've turned out in fairly sizable numbers here this afternoon. Lincoln with us leading from the front. Great work there from Bradley Martin as well. I like the effort of Morgan. Well, Daniel Pryor was everywhere for them as well. Maloney was good. Malasauskas was good. Their fullback, Dane Spencer, was good. But in the end, a big team effort for them and a 33 points to 16 win. And Sonny will do it all again next Saturday afternoon for the big one, the Queanbeyan Derby from Seaford Oval, hey?
Sounds great, Chris. See you there.
So Sonny Singh will join me, Chris Coleman, for that one next week. And if you want to find out who is our ActuAGL man of the match, you'll find out soon. Just keep an eye on the Canberra Region Rugby League website and Facebook page. All will be revealed a little bit later on. But on behalf of everyone at the Canberra Raiders Cup and Bar TV, this is Chris Coleman signing off from Phillip District this afternoon, where the Woden Valley Rams have run out victorious over the Yass Magpies, 33 points to 16.